It's just over 2 years ago now, maybe 3 years ago. But just say to anyone who's not been, if you could ever save up to go to Antarctica, put it at the top of your list. And I'd also give one piece of advice. Don't just go to Ushuaia in the south of Argentina and go across the Drake Passage to the Antarctic Peninsula and down the peninsula and back again. A 2-week trip, which is what most people do. Go on the alternative 3-week trip that covers the Falkland Islands and South Georgia. And South Georgia, to me, was the highlight. That trip spent 4 days there. That picture was taken of a, I never remember whether it's king or emperor penguin colony, but just showing you massive numbers of birds. But do go, that extra money and that extra time is really well worth it to go that extra bit and see those other places. And just be able to see these penguins. One of the instructions is, don't get closer than 5 meters to the penguins. Well, you can easily observe back, but no one ever told the penguins. So you go and stand on the beach, and before you know where you are, you've got 10 penguins standing within 5 meters of you. They come to you, inquisitive. I haven't been banding there, but I've certainly enjoyed them. Now another highlight, again, of my life. And this case, I'm not the leader of a team of volunteers carrying out studies. I'm a participant in a team that's run by someone who was at university with me, who was a founder member of the Wash Wadering Group, who was involved in that first rocket netting of waders in 1959, David Pearson, who spent a lifetime in Kenya as a lecturer at the university, but banding birds. And they found when this lodge was set up at West Tsavo National Park in the south of Kenya in 1969, that the lights, the floodlights they used to show guests at the lodge the animals coming to drink at the water by the lodge at night attracted birds. Now what happens is that the birds are migrating. It's just below the end of the Rift Valley. They're concentrated. They're migrating at night like all passerine birds. And on a clear night, they're just going sailing over, navigating and carrying on and moving a few hundred miles each night. But when the cloud comes down, which it often does in November, December, when the birds are migrating through that region, when the cloud comes down at night, they get lost in the cloud. And the lights of the lodge attract them and disorient them. And that creates an unbelievable opportunity for catching and banding and studying these migrants that come all the way from West Europe, and some of them from as far east as Kazakhstan. Most of the swallows, for example. Anyhow, there's also wild animals there. And it's rather comforting that the area where, as you'll see in a few minutes, you're inhabiting during the night mist-knitting, migrating passerines, is also inhabited by wild animals. But the local leopard comes and gets his food, put out at 7 o'clock each evening on this trestle just outside the dining room where everyone is, and hopefully he is satisfied with that and is not waiting around for you at 2 o'clock the next morning. You see the huge, it's wet in September, October. By November there's a plethora of insect life everywhere, and everywhere is very green, so it's a perfect place for these northern hemisphere birds to spend the non-breeding season. And when the mist comes down, which it usually does at 2 o'clock in the morning, these birds are attracted to the light. Here you can see a tree with passerine birds dotted all over it. At the top left-hand corner there are 3 European rollers, and in fact, even on this particular night, a little flock of cattle egrets has settled in one of the trees, again, lost in the cloud and attracted by these lights. And you can put up, as the team does, and it's a team of about 30 people, and I've been over with Pat and some other people 3 years ago, and then I took half a dozen of the wader people from Australia last year to go there, put up just 2 mist nets at 2 o'clock in the morning, and take down those 2 mist nets at 5 o'clock in the morning. And in that period of 3 hours, in 2 mist nets, we usually catch between 400 and 800 passerines. It is quite unbelievable. You're just standing there. It's like being in heaven. You're just standing there, and pop, these little passerines coming along through the cloud, just pop into the mist net beside you, taking them out as fast as you can. They're only in the net a few seconds, taking them back in 2, or I think it's 3 in a bag at the time, actually banding in the lodge just below the cocktail bar, as you can see, and all those birds are released before 6 o'clock in the morning. That's why the nets those 2 nets are stopped catching and taken down by 5 o'clock so that the birds can be clear. And then at 6 o'clock, a battery of 30 permanently erected mist nets in the bush nearby are opened just before dawn, and all the migrants that have come down into those bushes start moving around, and again you get another catch of birds in that first hour or two between 6 o'clock and 8 o'clock in the morning. Usually the nets are closed before 9 o'clock in the morning, and you can get anything from a few hundred to a couple of thousand birds just in that array of nets in that short period after dawn, depending on how thick the mist was that night. It is a bird bander's paradise. You learn very quickly. It's just a wonderful experience. That's in the daytime. The banding station is beside the swimming pool. But that just shows you on that simple graph the effect of the cloud. On cloudy nights, the birds are caught, and on non-cloudy nights, then everything flies over completely uninterrupted. And so you're banding, here's the 2,000 on the 10 days that we were there. Then on 4 days, more than 2,000 birds were banded, and on 1 day it was almost 3,000 birds. And in the 10 days that we were there, we banded just over 20,000 passerines. Again, a wonderful experience, again needing a team, and again it was a joy to be a member of someone else's team. This has been running for 30 years now, rather than being the team leader. Marsh warblers comprise 50%, but there's a huge variety of other birds.